Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today, let's talk what's to come in The Walking Dead Season 7. Alright guys, so with all the anger and disgust and disappointment with The Walking Dead Season 6 finale, a lot of fans are wondering, who's gonna die in Season 7. But there's more to Season 7. There's not just a death, but what happens after? What is the overall story after? Now, we're not sure how much they're going to translate from the comic to the screen. We're not sure if they're going to get right to the point, let Negan and that storyline breathe a little, but we do know kind of an idea, a slight blueprint, so to speak. Basically, we'll get the death, most likely right off the bat, because I don't see why there would be much story before we get into the death. So we finish off where we left off, we get to death, and then after, we get some kind of odd, awkward alliance/transition into this new world order, where the survivors and the saviors peacefully coexist. They can travel the roads now, the survivors. They can take Maggie to the hilltop now and not have to worry about the saviors hunting them down or fighting with them. So there's that odd, awkward piece. That transition again into this new world. Obviously, they'll get to the hilltop. Maggie will get checked out if she's not the one who dies. I don't think she's going to be, but she'll get checked out. Rick and them will talk to the hilltop people about what happened. That would most likely bring up friction between the leader at the hilltop saying, I don't want any part in this. We tried to work something out. You couldn't take out Negan. That's all on you. Obviously, Rick is going to be pissed. Like, why didn't you tell me there was that many men, at Gregory? So there's going to be some friction with the hilltop. So while there's friction at the hilltop, now we have Carol and Morgan. Don't forget, they met up with the guys from the Kingdom. Those two guys in the armor, they're from the Kingdom, which is a totally different community. So we're going to be developing the story of Carol and Morgan with the Kingdom, the survivors, and the hilltop, figuring out what the hell to do next, and then most likely we'll also get a look inside Negan and the Saviors, how that's structured, how that works. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because of a particular storyline from the comic that I'm very excited to see in the show, if they bring it to the show. But if they do, we'll get an inside look at the Saviors, because right now all we know is that if you're Negan and the Saviors, that group is the dominant group. They take whatever they want, whoever they want, off of the survivors. But if the survivors somehow, for whatever reason, if they were to become a savior, they would be a part of the dominant group. See how that's awkward? So on the surface, it looks like that. All saviors are equal and they are above everyone else. But that's not necessarily the case. When we get introduced to how the sanctuary works, where the saviors live, we should get a really different look at how that's structured. It should definitely help with some interesting storylines, and it'll show us what happened to Dwight, how he got his burnt face. So okay, now we have the survivors, we have the hilltop, we have this new community where Carol and Morgan's at, and then we got to look at the saviors. So far that's 4 communities. During this season that's coming up in Season 7, we should see an alliance start forming between all the communities except for the saviors, obviously. Between this new community Carol and Morgan's at, between the hilltop and then Alexandria. They will start to form an alliance. I'm sure they're going to be hiding guns. They're going to be trying to scout out the saviors, spy on them, try to see some weaknesses, how many men they got. Maybe they can even get a savior or saviors to want to cooperate and form an alliance with them as well to actually take down Negan. Again, we're going to get a look inside the Savior's compound, and it's not run as it appears, because as it appears, the Saviors get everything they want. That's not necessarily the case. There's some other shit going on. Some Saviors might not be happy with it. So we're going to see these alliances forming over the season, and I think that will actually be a big chunk of the story so far. Also, new elements they're going to put in the story, because now they got to go out and they got to scavenge for supplies, because like Negan said, you either got to fight, steal, find it, or whatever, kill for it, but you need to get those supplies. So there's going to be side stories mixed in here. So with the alliances building, I think things will start picking up speed. There's different communities now and a lot of characters, so there should really be something interesting that's happening almost every single minute that plays out in Season 7. There's just so much now. now. It's such a thick story, in my opinion. Many layers, I feel. And we've only seen one little episode with the Hilltop, so there's a lot more coming. And this is an interesting dynamic. Like I said, we have all the communities forming an alliance, and then there has to be a subtle mission to overthrow or take out Negan as the leader. And then, depending on how much we get, we might see Rick on his knees in front of Negan at the end of season 6, but then we might see Rick get the upper hand with Negan at the end of season 7. So we can now see Rick, our badass leader, hopefully in a position where he can make a move and attack back and attack Negan and get his revenge. It might not work out in his favor, so to speak, but it could be the beginning of an all-out war between all the communities. So only time will tell how much story we get in season 7, but for right now I do believe it will focus on the new community, building an alliance, and towards the end of the season, most likely we'll start shifting into a march to war, pretty much. Alright, give me your thoughts and opinions. What do you think's coming in season 7? What are you most interested in? If you say finding out who dies, we know. We are all waiting on that too. Thoughts and opinions in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.